The purpose of this channel is to bring the latest news and information to the Commonwealth. I also want to raise awareness and bring education to the stigma that's in the cannabis community. Please medicate and consume responsibly. Welcome once again to Virginia Cannabis Connection. As always, I'm your guy on the couch, Joe Parsons. I would like to first apologize for the delay in this episode. I've been super busy trying to network and get on additional platforms. I'm also trying to make new connections in the cannabis community and get involved as much as possible. I'm super proud and happy to announce that I've been given an awesome opportunity to represent Virginia on Pro Cannabis Media's Weed Talk News. I hope to bring the best cannabis stories to Pro Cannabis Media, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Jimmy Young for the awesome opportunity. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Pro Cannabis Media or go to Pro Cannabis Media on Facebook or procannabismedia.com for more details. And follow me as I try to be a fair and honest correspondent that only wants freedom and change in the adult use community. Thank you to everyone for your continued support. Now, let's roll into what's going on this week in the world of cannabis. Since the explosion of the retail market in 2012 that started in Colorado, there's been a common problem for everyone in every part of the industry. That's money, plain and simple. With cannabis being listed with the other super destructive drugs such as crack and heroin as a Schedule I controlled substance, practically no banking institutions will generally do business with growers, manufacturers, cannabis shops, and so on. Therefore, making it very difficult for businesses to handle finances as well as taxation issues associated with cannabis listed as Schedule I on the Controlled Substances Act. Don't even get me started on Section 280E. The IRS Section 280E forbids businesses from deducting otherwise ordinary business expenses from gross income that's associated with the trafficking of Schedule I or II substances, and that's as defined by the Controlled Substances Act. Basically, this has been a gray area since 2012. And after many years of waiting and the eventual bipartisan support, they have been making advances towards enacting an actual banking system that would be efficient and fair for those who go into or are thinking about going into the cannabis industry. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said recently that he will work very hard to finally get the SAFER Banking Act enacted by the November elections. SAFER stands for the Secure and Fair Enforcement Regulation. Schumer noted that it won't be easy, but is confident, especially in an election year, with an election that's highly publicized as this one, that now may be the time to move forward on many issues, from cannabis to the insulin program. Recently, the SAFER program has been gaining momentum, and Senator Maria Cantwell from Washington is now the 36th member of the chamber to add their name to the legislation. Schumer has also discussed the moral responsibility of adding further provisions such as state legal cannabis expungements and gun rights for cannabis consumers. This could be huge for our industry, and I, for one, applaud the Majority Leader for staying on top of these troubling issues for our community. Thanks, Chuck. And now, on to some news from the Aloha State, Hawaii. 24 years ago, Hawaii became the 8th state to adopt a medical use program for cannabis, and that's pretty much where it's stayed ever since. But that might be changing pretty soon. Hawaii State Senate has passed SB 3335 to the House of Representatives. SB 3335 would allow adults 21 and over to possess up to an ounce of flower and up to 5 grams of concentrate, and would also allow for the framework of licensed regulated sales. The senators voted 19-6 to approve the legalization of the bill, advancing with a version with amendments made last week. Let's hope this one makes it further in the House and eventually lands on the desk of Governor Josh Green in the near future. More news from Hawaii this week. On Tuesday, the House also passed the complementary expungements legislation from Representative David Tarnas, sending it to the Senate. With the advancement of SB 3335 moving forward, it would only make sense to further protect Hawaiians from criminal records associated with cannabis-only convictions. Now, this measure would only expunge records for up to 3 grams, as decriminalization currently only allows for up to 3 grams. Even more the reason that we need a fair and sociably equitable programs like SB 3335 in place. Keep up the good work, Hawaii. It would be nice to actually buy some real Maui Wowie from a rec shop there. Here's some news on the international circuit. With Germany finally moving forward with legalization and reform, the United Nations Drug Control Body is starting to take notice, not only at them, but now a closer look at the United States' current stance on reform and the now psychedelics policy reform movement that's currently making waves across the United States in states like Maine, Missouri, Connecticut, Alaska, and many others. The UN body reaffirms that countries that pursue cannabis legalization violate international treaties that date all the way back to 1961. The INCB's 2023 annual report, published on Tuesday, underscores that member nations are required to take such legislative and administrative measures as may be necessary to criminalize the production, manufacture, export, import, distribution of, trade in, use, and possession of drugs such as marijuana under the decades-old treaty agreements. Now, of course, the United Nations does not take into account of recent medical breakthroughs and developments, as these policies, as stated before, go all the way back to 1961. And if you think getting things changed are hard in the United States, think about how hard it is to change United Nations policy. Since 2022, the United Nations has said that the United States is out of compliance with drug treaty obligations because the federal government is passively allowing states to legalize. They also said in 2022 that the apparent tension between these provisions and the trend towards legalization must be addressed by the signatories of the 3 drug control conventions. Now, President Biden has made this a priority and a part of his 2024 presidential campaign to remove cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance. Let's see how that works out. And finally, some news for all you canine lovers out there. The NASC, or the National Animal Supplement Control Council, is promoting a new study that says CBD treatment is safe for long-term use. That's great news for people with older dogs that seek out safe alternatives to traditional pharmaceutical remedies. This study shows that CBD, CBDA, and CBG were well tolerated in healthy dogs at a dose of 5 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day. The CBD is known to be good to help with skin conditions and anxiety, especially from traveling. So why risk a possible narcotic remedy for you and your best friend when you're on vacation, when you can have an all-natural and safe remedy that has now been proven to be safe, even at repeated and for some long-term use? Now, on a side note, don't worry about your pup if he or she gets a hold of your stash. Cannabis has absolutely no psychoactive effects unless it's been decarbonized. So unless you put your bag in the oven at around 130 degrees for 30 minutes prior to your dog eating it, he or she won't get high. They'll just waste your weed. However, edibles are always a no-no, as they are always decarbonized. And yes, they will get your dog high. Too high. Too high for their little minds to understand. And that's never a good thing. Love your pets, consume responsibly, and lock your gummies up in a safe place. With cannabis laws changing all the time, and people finally starting to open their eyes to the end of federal prohibition, we must always keep our eyes on the prize and continue to lobby for change. We must not be afraid of what other people think about us or how it may hurt other people's feelings with the truth. That's just the harsh reality of being in a judgmental society. But if we continue to stand together and get our voices out there and fight for what we believe in, then one day no one will feel like a criminal over a plant. No one will miss out on that job of a lifetime because of a plant. And no one will ever feel like a monster just because of a plant. Well, that's my time for today. Until next time, stay lifted, my friends.